Hello, my friend. Welcome to class. My name is Brenton, and the name of our practice today is Stay Within Yes. This is the final class of a 4-part movement skills series. The other classes in this series are What Drives Me, What Stops Me, Slow Before Fast, and Stay Within Yes. And with all of these combined, should give you the movement skills and confidence that you need to make your own decisions on your mat and in your life and feel good and have good results from all of those decisions. So Stay Within Yes is all about making movement decisions where there's a lot of give and play. So we're never going to extremes. We're never maxing out our range of motion. We always want whatever movement decision that we're making to have a world full of yes around us. We don't ever want to come against a really hard boundary in our movement. And this helps our nervous system feel a lot safer and give us much better outputs from our movement. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on our backs. And the first 30 to 60 seconds are just for you to move around in any way that feels good. Get yourself ready for practice. Now during this time, we want to flush our body with attention like light filling a room. And see if we can breathe easily, low in the body. In and out through the nose. And think about this as your starting point, your first world full of yes. So immediately when we make movement decisions, we don't really want to venture too far away from this place where we're able to pay attention to our entire body and we're able to breathe easily in and out through the nose, nice and low in the belly. So when you start to see that those things change, that is us moving away from yes and approaching a boundary, approaching more of a no. So see if you can make movement decisions today where you're staying within yes, even in this sort of internal ambiance that we're setting up. Let's go ahead, set our feet down to the floor wherever they're comfortable for a bridge pose. So pressing down with the feet, scoop the hips up off the ground. Make sure your low back feels okay there. We can start with a few pulses of the pelvis up and down. And staying within yes here means that we're never getting the low back into a place where it's feeling kind of crunched. The crunched feeling, again, is a really hard boundary. So let's see here. Let's see if we can hold the hips up, all of the contents of the abdomen draw down, and then we'll see, does it still work with our attention and our breathing and, of course, our bodily sensations if we unweight the right foot and step it forward a footprint, and then unweight the left foot and step it forward a footprint. And check in with your feet, your knees, your low back. Make sure that everything feels okay there. See if you can get a little pulsing action to go with the feet in this position. And in this position, the hamstrings are longer. They're also more loaded, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Now, holding the hips up here, see if you can unweight the left foot, step it forward, half a footprint. Unweight the right foot, step it forward, half a footprint. And check in. If you're approaching no, then stay there or move back. Get back into the realm of yes. And then you can, again, do a couple of hip pulses. Okay, last time, lifting the hips. Unweight the right foot, step it forward, step the left foot forward. If you're already maxed out, then stay where you're maxed out or even walk back in a little bit. And then continuing some lifts up and down. Your pelvis is going to be much closer to the floor here. Okay, so lifting the pelvis slowly, 1 foot at a time, 1 footprint at a time, walking in, staying with your attention and your breathing in a world full of yes. Now keeping the hips lifted here, now you feel the backs of your legs really on. Feel all of the contents of your abdomen drop down, and then we'll stretch the arms down by the side. We want to unglue the shoulders from the rib cage. So we want our rib cage to stay where it is as we start to reach the arms up to the sky, maybe towards the overhead position. So staying within yes here means that the ribs stay out of the movement. Bringing the arms back up and down. And so choose a range of motion and a movement pattern where the shoulders are in that world full of yes, where the ribs haven't quite gotten themselves involved in the movement yet. And this is your brain learning how to make a distinction between your shoulders and your ribs. And that's a distinction your brain wants to be really well versed in. Okay, so slowly coming all the way down with the hips and the arms together. Press your feet down and forward so you got a little activation through the legs. Interlock the hands behind the head with the elbows wrapped in. Chin tucked to the throat. Use your abdominals to lift the head and lift up off the shoulder blades. So stay within yes here. Stay where the head is nice and soft and relaxed, where the belly is working, and where you're not gritting your teeth, clenching your jaw. All the muscles on your face are soft and relaxed. That's your world full of yes. I think about my world full of yes like a wide open field. And in that wide open field, I don't want to see any fencing. I don't want to see any boundary and anywhere I look. Okay, so coming all the way back down. If you can stay within yes and bring your legs up over the pelvis, knees up over the pelvis, legs bent or straight. If you have a yoga block, you can place that in between your legs there. And then making sure the low back feels good, coming up off the shoulder blades. Head nice and soft into the hands here. Breathing, stay within yes. And when you're ready, release. So maybe staying within yes sometimes means doing smaller movement patterns. And that's great because in our last class, Slow Before Fast, we learned that we have to get good at the smaller movement patterns before we can make them bigger. So taking the legs, coming up off the shoulder blades, head nice and soft into the hands here. If you're still in a world of yes, see if you can unweight your right hand, reaching the right arm up to the sky, reach the shoulder blade up, and then reach the right arm through the legs. So reaching from the shoulder blade a little bit more forward, fingers forward, and then return the hand behind the head and come on down. Here we go. Set your legs, lifting up off the shoulder blades, head soft into the hands. So if you're still in your world of yes, keep your head in your right hand on, weight your left hand, reach up with the left fingers, shoulder blade reaching as you reach the left fingers through the legs. Really reach forward with the fingertips, reach the arm back up behind the head, and come on down. Set your legs. Here we go. Come on up off the shoulder blades, head nice and soft into the hands. Unweight the right hand if you want, reach the right arm up, forward through the legs. Now, if you're still in a world full of yes, your neck will tell you, unweight the head completely, reach the left arm to the outside of the left leg. See if your fingertips can touch each other around the left leg. Reach from the shoulder blades, fingertips forward, and then release the hands, bring them back behind the head. Come on down. Okay, set the legs. Coming up off the shoulder blades, use your belly, head nice and soft into the hands. This time, see if you can unweight the left fingers, reach them between the legs. See if you can unweight the right fingers, reaching them. If you can reach up from the shoulder blades, you can touch the fingertips together, reach from both shoulder blades a little bit more forward, chin tucked, release the hands behind the head, come all the way on down. So feel how nice and taut that belly is. Let's go ahead, come on up to a seated position. You can have the legs wide or any position that you like. So when we're sitting up here, we want to see what is our pelvis prepared to do? What's the world of yes for your pelvis? So start to move it around here. If you can clearly tip your pelvis forward, you can let your torso follow, folding a little bit, maybe side bending or twisting, something like that. If your pelvis feels pretty stuck and it's already approaching all those boundaries, the fence in your prairie is really close in, get more space here by leaning back with your hands And rocking the pelvis forward and backward. And while you do this, breathe nice and easily in and out through your nose. Flush your entire body with attention. So your nervous system is feeling calm while you're exposing yourself to these ranges. Okay, let's go ahead and flip over. We're going to come right down to the forearms, going to turn on the arms, the shoulders, and the upper back. So elbows down under the shoulders, that's more narrow than you'd think, hands wide or clasped. If you haven't figured out what's good for you, watch your world full of no and see if you need to come out and make a different choice. Relax the head, lift up off the knees there. You can widen the knees a little bit. Okay, and pulling the ribs in, relax the head. We're just going to shift over to the right, weighting more the right arm, then shift over to the left, weighting more the left arm. Doing that back and forth and really feeling all of the stuff turn on around the shoulder blade, your chest, your armpits, still feeling the ribs pull in to the shoulder blade. So we're going to lean over to the left, stay there, or see if you can unweight the right hand and tent the fingers by the side. See if you could pull the hand up off the floor. So taking the left or right elbow back down, shift the weight over, hold yourself on the outside of that shoulder blade. Maybe you tent the left fingers. Choose a progression where you're staying within yes. Maybe unweight the left hand. Easy breathing. Okay, return everything. Come on down to the knees. We made it up to the hands. So with weight bearing on the hands, we want to make sure that the wrists feel good and supported here. So let's do some wrist prep. Spread your fingers, grip the floor with them, and then lift the heel of the hand and come down. Over and over again here. If this feels like it's too much, lean your hips back a little bit so you take the load out of the wrists. And if it feels like not so much is happening here, really lean your shoulders forward over the wrists. That's going to weight them a lot, really going to amp up all the sensation. So see if you can get a sense of those muscles continuing to work as if your wrists wanted to lift up, right? And then from here, tucking the toes, hover the knees up off the floor, slowly send the pelvis up and back, down dog. Really gripping the floor, pulling that activation up the arm into the shoulder. And then from here, seeing if we can push off the hands one at a time to walk all the way back to the feet. Relaxing through the head. And if the floor seems really far away to you, you can always perch your elbows up on your legs, but you're also at home. So you could perch your elbows onto something like a couch corner or an ottoman. And if that's you, figure out how to set up your yoga mat so that that furniture piece is more available to you as you practice. So again, you want to feel like you're not coming into any boundary in your backside. Your low back doesn't feel like it has too much pressure on it. Weighting the feet, pull the low belly in, slowly roll yourself all the way up to stand, reaching wide and high with the arms. Slowly bringing the hands down in front of the chest, bringing the arms back up to the sky. Soft bend into the knees here. Hinge from the hips, not from the spine. Try to keep your spine long and neutral. And then when your hips max out, then forward fold over the legs. We're going to ground the hands, start to walk ourselves forward, keep the chin tucked. We're walking ourselves, bending the knees, tapping them down for tabletop position. Your shoulder blades set the height here. So lift your ribs into the shoulder blades, and then without moving the spine, see if you can unweight the right hand, tap the left shoulder, take the right hand down, unweight the left hand, tap the right shoulder, alternating like this. So you're practicing just loading one arm, and with your knees down, it's not super demanding. So you want all of the front body contained, lifting into the back body. Okay, so from here, we're going to go ahead, walk a palm print forward, lean the pelvis forward, get nice and broad through the chest, Lift into your shoulder blades, maybe look a little bit more forward. And staying within yes here means being slow and with control as we bend the elbows any amount, and then push through the fingers and straighten the arms. That's just one time. So bending the elbows, coming all the way down to the floor. Tops of the feet release. Pubis bone, that's the lowest bone on your pelvis, grounding to the floor. And then seeing here, roll your shoulders up, but don't lift your ribs toward your chin. Keep the front ribs moving down towards your pelvis, pubis bone down, and feel the shoulders lift up. So again, you're ungluing the shoulders from your ribs. Now, keeping the shoulders lifted up, we want to see if we can slide the hands back any amount underneath the elbows. Back of the neck nice and long. Keep your shoulders up, so that's what we're looking to keep here. And then peel the hands up off the ground, so they're hovering. Now, if your shoulders can stay here, and if they feel pretty good here, if you're already in that world full of no, maybe hands a little bit more forward and you're just working on the prep. So we can see here, if we can unhinge the elbows, push the hands back, bend the elbows, hover the hands. So doing that a few times, keeping the shoulders nice and steady. Okay, taking the hands down, compacting the front body to the back body, pushing back up to the knees. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, send the pelvis up and back, down dog. Grip the floor with the fingers, pull that activation up the arms into the armpits, and then slowly, one at a time, pushing off the hands, walking all the way back to the feet. Relaxing through the head and neck here. Bend through the knees, slowly coming all the way up to stand. Reaching wide and high with the arms, settling the hands down by the chest. One more time, reaching the arms all the way up, hinging forward at the hips. Relaxing through the head, walking forward, knees bend, tapping down for tabletop position here. And again, we'll start with the shoulder taps. So trying to feel the whole body to be nice and steady, not moving too much here when you start the shoulder taps. So if you feel like you have that open spaciousness here in your attention, your breathing, your bodily sensations, ground your hands, hover the knees up off the floor, lift your ribs into the shoulders, shoulder taps. So that's going to change the load, single arm strength, gripping the floor with the fingers, not just weighting the wrists. Okay, knees back down, palms forward, stretch your hips forward, lift into your shoulder blades. One push up, work with where you're in control. Press up, bend the elbows, come all the way down. Relax the tops of the feet, your pubis bone grounds down, chin tucked, rib cage shifting down to the pelvis. From here, let's reverse goalposts. So laying the tops of the hands down, bending the elbows. So the shoulders are internally rotated, they're rolling forward. But just because they're rolling forward doesn't mean they're sagging down to the floor. So you're gonna roll your shoulders up. Roll the shoulders without moving the ribs or your pelvis. We're gonna keep the shoulders this lifted from the floor and see if we can lift the hands. So we're not lifting the hands at the expense of the shoulders rolling down. That's us moving into a world of no. Our world of yes is keeping the shoulder set, and then any amount lifting the hands, continue to lift them as if they could lift higher than the elbows. Keeping the chin nice and tucked. Let's go ahead, release the hands underneath the armpits. Keep your shoulders organized, push up to the knees. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, send the pelvis up and back, downward dog. Okay, this time we're gonna start walking the right foot forward, shifting the weight more into the hands, walking the left foot forward a few inches, and just keep moving like that. When you get into your world of no, see if you can lift the hands and weight your feet and finish the walk all the way up. Okay, relaxing through the head and neck here, bend through the knees, slowly roll yourself all the way up, reach up through the arms, taking the hands down. One more time. Reaching the arms, hinging forward over the legs. When the legs stop us, waterfalling the spine. Bend the knees, Step the left foot back, drop the knee down to the floor, top of the foot down or toes tucked under as you come on up for a lunge. So try to feel yourself nice and vertical up over this left knee, so it's more like a half kneel rather than a low lunge. And then getting the pelvis up, let's interlock the hands behind the sacrum here. So same principle that we just did on the floor with the reverse goalpost. So your shoulders are rolling forward, but they're pulling towards the back line of the body, but the front ribs and pelvis are moving together. From here, let's go ahead, slide the hands up to the rib cage, leave the pelvis alone as we turn from the ribs to the right, come back forward. Turn to the right, come back forward. Doing that a few times. We're trying to respect the pelvis and the legs in our half kneel. Okay, taking the hands down to the floor. Lift the left knee, step the right foot back, grip the floor. Your choice, knees up or down. Like, where is your world of yes here? And then slowly we'll move ourselves all the way down to the floor. So tops of the feet relax, pubis bone down, chin tucked. Your ribs pulling towards the pelvis as you goalpost the arms in the regular way. Build fists. And imagine that you're holding onto something really heavy. You're like pulling something heavy from in front of you as you drag the elbows back and then push them forward. So doing that a couple of times, dragging back, pushing forward, dragging back, pulling the elbows back. Keep your pubis bone down, lift your right foot and knee off the ground. Let it go. Lift your left foot and knee off the ground. Keep your pubis bone down and go. And let's go back and forth. So you're running into no anytime that pubis bone flips up or your tailbone flips up, you can map either one with your attention. Okay, and see if you can come into locust pose here, holding the legs. If you can negotiate this and start your pulls again, we can do 3 more. And if this feels like it's too much, like you're approaching a world of no, then just choose one side. Like, what's going to be better for you right now, your legs or your arms? Okay, hands down underneath the shoulders, legs down. Stay organized as you push up to the knees. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, and then send yourself up and back, downward facing. So front body pulls into the back body, stepping the left foot forward a couple inches. Starting to weight the hands more as you step forward with the right foot. And really try to stay within your world of yes here. Sometimes our world of yes is like right up to the edge, and that's okay. Once you come forward here, bending into the knees, pulling the low belly in to roll ourselves up, reaching up with the arms, settling the hands down. Reaching all the way out and up. Hinging forward. Bending the knees, grounding the hands, stepping the right foot back, knee down. Here we go, coming up to our low lunge or our half kneel. Getting vertically up over that right leg, pulling the whole body into itself. Let's interlock the hands behind the sacrum here and feel the navel pull in, the front ribs pull down. And then from here, hands up to the ribs. This is the part that moves, everything else down here doesn't, as we turn and turn and turn. Okay, coming all the way forward, hands down, lift the back knee, step the left foot back. We're in plank. You decide if your knees are up or down as we slowly lower with our strength. Coming all the way down here, relax your feet, pubis bone down. Let's come back to our pulls. Okay, and so pulling back, let's do our little leg swims, right leg, left leg, keeping the pubis bone down, which means that the low back stays nice and long. So when your pubis bone and your tailbone lift, you'll feel that world of no right away in that low back. We want to keep the low back in yes land. Seeing if we can keep the legs lifted. If you're still in your world full of yes, keep your knees lifted, your pubis bone down, but bend the knees any amount. And we'll take 3 more pulls. Ooh, my feet are cramping a little bit. And so part of staying within yes is being able to read our body sensations. Sometimes like a cramp might freak us out, but cramps are actually not necessarily our body telling us no. It's just our body telling us that we haven't done something before. So grounding through the hands, stay organized, push up to the knees, tuck the toes, shift the pelvis up and back, down dog. Okay. Grip the floor here and kind of assess, what are you ready for? Are you ready for hopping the feet forward? If you're not, start walking. If you're ready for hopping, I like to shift the shoulders forward so my shoulders know what they're supposed to do. And then I curl back, front body pulls into the back body. Keep your chin tucked as you hop the feet forward. Okay, bend into the knees, slowly roll your way all the way up. Reach the arms up to the sky, taking the hands down in front. Let's keep the right foot where it is. Step the left foot back to a high lunge, but get up on the back toes. So the heel lifts over the back toe mound. Scoop the back knee forward. So your pelvis goes up, your ribs pull down. And start with the arms by the side, the thumbs facing forward. So you want to get your torso into, let's call it neutral. And then we want to stay in neutral with the torso as we reach the shoulders forward and up. And so stop whenever the rib cage and the spine start to move with you. You want to feel this in your armpits, maybe in your triceps, on the arms here. And then from here, taking the hands down together, we'll go ahead, spin the back foot flat so you're more in warrior 2. But straighten the front leg at first here so you can even out the weight placement between the feet, even out your pelvis so that your pelvis is not drooping like this, right? So you want your pelvis upright, you want your booty turned on, and you want your ribs stacked right over your pelvis. So if you need to bend the back knee to get that to happen, do that. And then from here, we'll go ahead, reach the arms wide, bend into the front knee, change the distance between your feet if that feels like the right thing to do. But only go down so far, like you've heard that cue, right? Of get your front knee to 90 degrees. No, because that usually lands us in no land. So I actually want to feel the legs draw up into the hips. Nothing feels like it's being yanked apart. Push down through the front foot, reach up through the arms, and then come back down. So doing that a few times here. And I really don't want to feel a lot of variation happening in my pelvis or my rib cage. I want my torso to be in a stable position throughout. I want my legs and my hips to figure out what they need to do to keep my torso in a nice stable position. So warrior 2, here we go, hands to the pelvis, come back to our high lunge, turning forward, scoop the back knee. We're getting ourselves nice and lifted here. We see if we can manage the balance with the arms out like airplane, okay? Feeling the whole torso pull in, pull the head up and back. We're gonna see if we can turn from the ribs to the right and back. The shoulders follow, they don't lead. And back. Doing this a couple of times. Imagine you've been shish kebabbed. When you turn, your front ribs are pulling over the pelvis. So you're not twisting and pushing your rib cage forward. Rib cage is still stacked over the pelvis. Imagine your shoulders are not moving at all. Okay? Hands down to the waist, unweight the back foot, stand on the front foot, bring the back knee forward. So you might just be surviving the balance here. And if that's so, find a piece of furniture that you can hold on to kind of remove some of that challenge so that you can work on another part of the pose. So get yourself nice and lifted up over the pelvis. So you're using your muscles to hold. Your standing leg's a good base of support. You could bounce. That's where you know you're in yes land, when your joints are bouncy. So finding this, we want to keep the pelvis positioned in neutral and the ribs positioned as neutral as we flex the left foot and push the heel forward, bending and straightening the leg. but we're only going as far as we can without pulling everything else off kilter. And the more we repeat this, it's likely that the more range of motion our brain will figure out how to give us. Okay, heel forward, stretching that foot down. Feel the difference between your legs. Lots going on in there. Hopefully it feels good. Reach the arms all the way out and up to the sky there. Soft knees as you hinge forward over the legs. Relax the head. Hands down, step the feet back. Grip the floor with the hands there. And then any way you like, come on down. Tent the fingers under your armpit or nice and wide off the mat. Squeeze the space between your fingers rather than pushing your fingers away from each other. Pubis bone down. Pull the front body up as you roll up off the ground any amount. Coming back down. So staying within yes here means that all of the contents of your abdomen are pulling in towards your spine. None of them are pushing forward. When you feel part of yourself pushing forward, your guts, your ribs, any of that, means we have some sort of energetic leak there. We want to contain our energy from the base of the spine and let it ripple and inform the movement all the way out through the head. Hands down underneath the armpits, pushing ourselves up to the knees, tuck the toes, shift the pelvis up and back, down dog. Okay, same options as before. We can step or we can lightly hop the feet forward. If you want to hop, shift the shoulders so they know where they're going. Shift back, bend the knees, hopping all the way up. Once you land at the top, bend the knees, slowly coming all the way up to stand, reaching the arms wide and high all the way up. Hands down. Before we change our sides here, let's come down to chair. And in chair pose, we can bounce a little bit. When we're bouncing, we want to feel the low back be in a nice neutral place. We want to feel the inner and outer lining of the leg are even as you go up and down. Tracking at the ankles, the knees, and the hips. And then you can stay here or standing all the way up now. Pelvis up over the legs, ribs up over the pelvis. So it's similar to chair. We want to move at the leg joints rather than at the spine. So with the arms down, thumbs point resting forward, squeeze fists here. You're carrying suitcases. Now here, without changing anything in the spine, we're gonna send the pelvis back, the knees forward, but really the pelvis back, and see if we can drop the suitcases down to the floor without moving at the shoulders like this, pulling ourselves back. Press down, come all the way up. So suitcase lifts up and down, and play around with how big your suitcases are. See if you could get them to be tiny little purses that you're setting down to the floor. Or if you're not into purses, maybe like a little Nintendo Switch or something that you're placing down on the floor. Okay, coming all the way up here. Here we go, hands to the pelvis. We're gonna step the right foot back, find your balance so you're in your lunge. Up onto the back tippy toes, scoop the back knee, getting ourselves nice and upright over the pelvis. With the arms down, thumbs forward, play the edge of your shoulders forward and up into shoulder flexion without moving other pieces of the spine or the ribs. From here, we'll take the hands down in front of the chest and turn the right foot open so that the toes point to the long edge of the mat. Setting up for warrior two, but here, press down through your feet and draw them up into your pelvis and level your pelvis off so it's not tipping in any sort of way here. Your pelvis can turn, that's fine, but we're trying to avoid any tipping. So if your pelvis were a bowl filled with water, it would stay pretty level. From here, let's go ahead, come down into the left knee, and you'll feel if you get stopped here, the knee feels weird, get a little bit more distance for yourself. Really get the back foot down so that the inner arch is lifting, the back inner ankle is lifting. And we want to keep the torso nice and stable as you press down, coming all the way up. The pelvis stays in a level position. So again, we're resisting the tipping, but the turning of the pelvis is okay. So I hope that distinction is pretty clear here. Okay, from here, warrior two, hands onto the hips. We're gonna turn onto the back tippy toes. And again, scoop the back knee under, pulling ourselves upright over the pelvis and fly the arms. So do this without resting on your spine like so. Instead, pull your spine together. So from here, turning from the rib cage to the left. And then from here, hands down, we're gonna see if we can unweight the back foot, stand on the front foot, pull the back knee up, getting ourselves nice and lifted and neutral in the pelvis and the ribs. Holding everything together here, pressing out through that front heel, and only going as far as we're staying within a nice structure with the rest of the body. Okay, taking that right foot down to the ground. Let's ground the feet, grab your suitcases again, and get the pelvis, the ribs, the head all in neutral with each other. That's our world full of yes here. So we want to stay within that as we hinge from the hips, bend the knees, and set the suitcases down, coming up. Use the glutes to come up so they're pushing the pelvis forward. You're sitting back into the glutes on the way down. So if you have some pretty small suitcases and you have a lot of that mobility already here, if you're in your world full of yes, ground the hands, step the feet back to down dog. Otherwise, just keep doing your suitcase lifts. So from down dog, if you're there, step one foot forward, then the other. Step one foot back, then the other. And alternating the feet. Which one comes first? Forward first. And if you're not in this place yet, your suitcase lifts will help you develop the range of motion needed to work into the squat. Wherever we are, we'll meet in a plank, top of a push-up, and from there, knees up or down, slowly lower with your strength. Go ahead, release the tops of the feet. We'll tent the fingers again, either under the armpits or nice and wide with the elbows up. Grip the space between the fingers as we roll and peel off the ground any amount. Grounding the hands underneath the armpits here. Stay organized, push up to the knees. Tuck the toes, shift the pelvis up and back, downward dog. We'll come forward again, so however you want to do that, if you want to step, or if you feel again like you're ready to try some hopping, coming forward. Ground through the feet, slowly come all the way on up. Reach the arms all the way up to the sky, hands down. We'll try some music box drills, which are some rotations of the hip. So here we want the pelvis neutral, the ribs up, head up over that. We're gonna see if we can balance on the left foot and come by a countertop if this is already feeling pretty challenging for you, because that'll help you stay within yes. So a soft bend into the standing knee. The goal is to rotate the pelvis on top of the left thigh bone and open the rest of the body, and then close her back to the front. So seeing if we can do this, keeping the pelvis and the ribs nice and stable. So this is going from neutrally rotated hips to external rotation. See if you can really use that left glute to squeeze and turn the pelvis open. So you're not moving from the left knee. That left knee is still soft as you do your music box twists. Okay, so see if you can now start to hinge a little bit more, heart more over those left toes, so that as you work here, you're working more towards a warrior 3 and a half moon. And that might just be like little baby movements using the booty. So you're in a world of no if you feel like your low back is doing a lot of the work here. Really feeling it in that standing glute. Okay, so coming all the way up here. Here we go, reaching the arms all the way up to the sky, hinging forward over the legs, taking the hands down, stepping the feet back one at a time, plank pose here. We're gonna tap the knees up and down, and then we'll leave them down. From here, we're gonna come back to the shoulder taps. Right hand, left hand, trying to maintain some stability here. Okay, if this is feeling manageable, lift the knees, you're in plank. And in plank, we're gonna see lifting a hand, lifting the other hand. And this, we're gonna see if we can lift and turn, lift and turn, lift and turn. So you're turning on that standing shoulder blade, and you're moving towards a side plank. So you have a progression here, and you're choosing whatever is working for you. And if you want to hold one side, let's say the right side, holding in side plank, you can take a side plank. We'll meet with both hands down, downward facing dog with the shoulders activated like they're pulling forward. And then again, you can step or hop the feet all the way up. Ground through the feet. Slowly roll yourself all the way up to stand, reaching up with the arms, hands down in front. Keep the breathing light and easy through the nose, down in the belly. We're going to see if we can balance on the right foot and start those music box drills. So we start them small, and at first, the brain might have a challenging time kind of computing what it is we're asking to do. I like to use my hands to map because my body is very loosey-goosey. And again, you can always have one hand on the countertop to reduce the balance challenge and get you more into your world of yes. So from here, if you wanted to hinge more forward, and again, using that right glute, like that right glute is squeezing to roll the pelvis open on top of that thigh bone. Toggling between something that's sort of like Warrior 3, Half Moon, the babies of those poses. Okay, coming all the way up to stand, feeling that leg, really working hard for you, getting lots of stability built through that hip. Here we go, reaching the arms all the way up to the sky, hinging all the way forward over the pelvis, hands down, step the feet back, plank, grip the floor with your fingers, tap the knees. Let's do that just a couple of times just to get the shoulders really turned on. Tap the knees, hold strong as you do your shoulder taps, right? So you might be approaching no here, in which case stay there. Otherwise, lift the knees and see if you can lift a hand, lift another hand, and again, start to toggle open on that shoulder blade, pulling all the contents of your front body towards the back body. And if you wanted to hold one side, hold your other side, side plank. Okay, from here, hands down, downward facing dog. With the shoulders pulling forward. Let's go ahead, slowly tap the knees down, come around to a seat. We'll continue working with the shoulders. Hopefully the wrists are still in a good place. If you find that they're a little bit sore, you can roll out through them. It's just telling us we need to probably do a little bit more wrist prep. So getting the feet in front of us here, getting ourselves nice and lifted up over the pelvis, and then grounding the hands down behind us. So we want to ground the hands down and sort of dial them away from each other to spin the arms back behind us. If you're working with a shoulder injury or that's difficult for you to do, your version of staying within yes is going to be to turn the hands more out. So, but ideally we'd like to have the hands forward and to let the shoulders learn how to do that. So grip the floor with your fingers, dial the hands away from each other, and really compact the front body to the back body. So grip the floor here, keep the chin tucked as you scoop the hips up any amount, even if you just say, nope, that's a world of no for me today, and coming back down. So feel into your shoulder joint here. We don't want to feel like any pinching or pain in the joint itself. So you might stop in a range of motion, or you might just work down here, playing with dialing the hands out away from each other. Okay, so coming down here, let's come to a seat. You could even come to a seat on an ottoman or a chair or a couch or something like that. We want to get the pelvis upright, the ribs upright, and then we can take the hands to the rib cage here, really hold ourselves in a boundary from the ribs down to the floor. Just start turning to the left and right. Going nice and slow, imagining that you've been shish kebabbed here and that all sides of your body are staying evenly open, like your whole body was like a blow up torso. And there's even amounts of space and air on all sides of your ribs, your back. If you wanted to land the hands and hold the twist there, you could do that. You could even reach the back arm up, still filling in the back body, and side bend over the front knee a little bit, still pulling all of that content, all that good stuff in, coming all the way back up, uncurling forward, going to the other side, releasing the arms. Again, maybe reaching the back arm up, side bending over the front knee, and stay where the sensations, nothing's being tugged or yanked, all that stuff feels pretty evenly used. So let's come on up. Let's come all the way down to the back. And from here, pulling the knees in, we want to feel the sacrum on the floor. So see if you can roll around there a little bit, finding the sacrum. And if you feel like your ribs are popping up, maybe get your head up on a pillow from your couch or something like that. Now we want the sacrum down on the ground, not rolling up like this. So getting the sacrum down, front ribs down, even if you got a pillow under your head. And then hugging behind the legs here, flex the feet. And we're gonna keep the sacrum down, but pull the knees in towards the armpits and use your leg muscles to do that more than you're using your hands. That's you staying within yes. You're not pulling on anything too much. You're letting your own strength be the guide for what you do and don't do. Flexing through the feet. Keep your thighs where they are, but press your feet up towards the ceiling for an active, happy baby. Keeping the sacrum on the floor, your front ribs grounding, pulling the knees down, pushing the feet up. Breathing nice and steady and easy through the nose. If there's anything else that's going to make your practice feel complete, definitely pause the video, go and do those things. When you're ready to join in Shavasana, find a position where you're comfortable. I always like to put my legs up on an ottoman, for example. So let's see if we can stay here for another minute or so. During this time, really quiet the breathing in and out through the nose, nice and low and deep in the belly. We talked about staying within yes being like this wide open prairie where there's no fencing anywhere around. So let's see if we can get there with our attention. Flush your entire body with attention, like it's light filling up that prairie. And normally our skin might be the fencing around the prairie. But let's see if we can kind of blow that fencing down with our attention and expand our attention even beyond the walls of our skin. So imagine that your skin doesn't signal where your body ends. It just signals where your nerve endings end. But imagine that you could pay attention to everything even beyond your body. So the room and all other bodies in the house and on the block. And that you could see the thoughts in all of those bodies' heads the same way that you see your thoughts. See if you could expand that attention even broader so you could see all bodies and all thoughts and all minds. And not just of this planet, but of all planets and all solar systems. So that there's really no boundary anywhere. You are all of existence. And when we can cultivate this understanding in every moment of our lives is when we will experience peace in any circumstance, because we will see the greater picture of things. So see if you can keep all of this as you start moving your body. So the movement of your body does not bring back the fencing in the prairie. And moving in your own time, your own pace. Let's continue our practice by coming up to a seated position. And holding the seated position for another minute or so, a continuation of our practice. Wonderful job today in class. If you felt something funky or you have a question, leave it in the comments below. I'm pretty good about monitoring them. And next Sunday, we'll start a new series on movement nutrients. So we'll spend 5 weeks looking at different movement nutrients, really defining them really well. Things like strength, mobility, stability, power, novel movements, and we'll focus our yoga practice around those elements so that we know how to distinguish them and we know how to curate them in our daily lives. So before I wrap up shop here, I definitely want to ask you to please subscribe to our channel. Our big goal is to get up to 1,000 subscribers. There's a lot of cool features that unlock on YouTube when you're at that threshold. So that's one simple thing you can do to support this. Send this to your friends and family. We're really passionate about helping you feel better in your body and really address the aches that come with aging so that your body is working and feeling better as you age. Now, I also want to encourage you to sign up for our newsletter. That's totally free, but our newsletter is going to be where we send out these links to these new videos and to blog posts and to just events that we might be doing around town. And that's your number one way of making sure that you're in the loop on everything that we're doing online. And of course, last but not least, if you'd like to make a financial contribution to this work, this is all donation based. We do not believe you should have to pay thousands of dollars to feel better in your body, but we definitely would appreciate financial support because we do work full time. So I have a link to my Patreon. I also have a link to a donate page, and you can make a one-time contribution or contribute monthly for any amount of your choosing. So thank you so much for joining in today's practice, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye.